As questions hang over U.S. President Joe Biden's political future, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also feeling the heat these days.
Our Ottawa correspondent Glen McGregor joining us now. Glen, hello to you. This question asked to voters, to other MPs, but I'm wondering how Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is handling questions about his future.
That's right. A lot of pressure on Trudeau since that by-election loss in Toronto-St. Paul, a safe Liberal riding last week. And we've heard increasing number of voices coming out saying it's time for leadership change. So far, it's mostly been people who are not currently part of the Liberal caucus, save for one MP, Wayne Long, who's from New Brunswick, who is not planning to run again. He has said it's time for Trudeau to go. And several of Trudeau's current MPs have written a letter demanding an immediate meeting of the caucus. Normally, Liberal MPs all take the summer off or go back to their ridings and then get together before the House returns in September. They're planning to do that, but these Liberal MPs saying we need an urgent meeting now because we're having some real problems. We're getting closer and closer to Election Day. Now, Justin Trudeau, since that by-election loss, hasn't really had a press conference of any kind. Hasn't really faced many questions about his ongoing leadership concerns within the caucus and also his own future. So he has at an event in Montreal today and did face questions from reporters. Here's what he had to say.
I will continue to engage and to talk and to listen and to meet with all my MPs from across the country to talk about how we can both understand what we need to improve on, given last week's by-election defeat, but also how we continue to be there for Canadians in a really important moment.
Now, in those comments, Trudeau really strongly suggesting that most of the people in his caucus aren't expressing concerns about him staying on as Liberal leader. He's kind of hinting that the people who do have concerns and who are speaking out through the media and sort of amplifying it much louder than the real problem it is. So, Mel Faiza, long story short here is that if Justin Trudeau is planning to resign at some point between now and the next election, he's certainly not giving any hints of that today, and sounds like he is committed to staying in that job indefinitely.
Well, time will tell. We still have some time to figure out what the messaging may be. Something else you are following, a report released today around tax credits, these ones geared toward clean energy. What can you tell us?
Yeah, these were a big element in Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister's budget that she released in April, something on the order of $93 billion in tax credits over the next 10 years to stimulate investment in green technology. Things like carbon capture, utilization, and storage, developing green hydrogen, cleaning up the electrical supply, because we know that's a big problem, is that still a lot of electricity in Canada is produced using fossil fuels. So all these incentives are designed to encourage investments in these green technologies. Now, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, who is an independent officer of Parliament, came in and did a review of all the proposed spending on these investments tax credits. He says it's actually going to cost the government more, about $10 billion more over 10 years in order to put these things in place. He says the reason for that is a lot of the investment that's going to come in later years in cleaning up the electrical grid are going to be highly capital intensive. Things like investing in solar farms, wind farms, and the big ticket, of course, nuclear as well. We know nuclear, to set up a nuclear generating capacity, is really, really expensive. So he says that's why it's going to cost more in future. But, you know, these things are kind of guesstimates too. You know, we don't know exactly how much money is going to flow in and how much tax credits the government is going to be required to issue 10 years from now. But it's looking like it's going to be expensive if Canada really does want to hit that net zero emission target by 2050. We'll see whether or not these initiatives, these incentives to business and investors actually make a difference, and whether we can actually hit that target. The Parliamentary Budget Officer says, yeah, he thinks we can, but as I say, it's going to cost more than we thought.
All right, Glen McGregor, as always, we appreciate the updates. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.